Hey guys, Dov here with some more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. We're here today with the Warriors of Chaos, of course, Archaon the Ever-Chosen leading his host against the Greenskins. Managed to pull Slade X on ladder, so we're definitely in for a great time. He's a very solid Greenskins player. And yeah, this is something that I've been sort of experimenting a little bit with, which is full Chevron Chaos Marauders. In theory, they're cheap and have pretty good cost-effective attack and defense for the price. Generally not the best leadership, but you can certainly upgrade that with rank 9. They don't have any armor, but they have very good attack and defense for the cost. Also got a unit of Sword and Board Chaos Knights, 2 Feral Manticores, and a massive line of Marauder Horsemen and Poison Warhounds. For Slade's Greenskins, going to be led by a Not Goblin War Boss. He's got a Giant, 2 Trolls, Spider Riders, plenty of Archers, including Error Boys, very solid. We've got 3 Black Orcs in the center, some Night Gobbos, regular Goblins, so yeah. The idea here, for those of you guys who watched any of my Gorst campaign, will know that Mass Hounds is actually very strong. Because they have so many unit models, they can kind of saturate in here and just absolutely crump, especially low-tier units very, very quickly. Like, these Goblins actually just got routed there, while I took very little damage in return on my Hounds. Pretty good stuff. So we're already kind of trying to break up the formation here and just not really attack in a very conventional way. You can see the way that I maneuvered my line here. I've kind of set it up so that, like, this part of the line is going to be coming into contact first. Hopefully that will force Slade to kind of either swing his forces out here or commit them to another place. Here we're going to throw in the Marauder Horsemen melee. This might potentially be a little bit of a mistake, but a nice Itchy Nuisance is going to go down. Debuff the melee attack and weapon damage of all those guys. They won't do nearly as much, and I mean, Orc Air Boys especially punch back pretty hard. A nice Wah being popped as the Black Orcs got charged by the Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights now pulling away. Unfortunately, Archaon is by himself now, getting pounded by a Giant here, which is definitely not the best. Getting circle beaten by Black Orcs also. He's going to juice up his melee defense with a Cascading Fire Cloak there. Also standard die, so, you know, he's got all the melee defense up to 108. Nice Burning Head from Slade. Is going to roast out a few of his own troops, unfortunately, but breaks off a lot of my Marauder Horsemen there. That's not great. I definitely need those Marauder Horsemen to try and take down this Giant. But the Manticores have been doing well. We've managed to shatter these Trolls with the Mass Hounds and Manticores kind of working in tandem. Marauders are fighting in various places, kind of doing their thing. And actually trading reasonably well, considering, actually that's very cost inefficient, considering those Goblins got the Wah active on the charge there. But here we might be able to get a good situation. Suddenly the Brave War Boss comes to try and fight Archaon. We're going to go ahead and get him on a surround with these Chaos Knights and try and maybe bring in the Manticores to finish him off. I mean, even just Archaon himself will absolutely crump this War Boss. I mean, he is having a bad time against the Ever-Chosen himself. And yeah, the Manticores look like not diving down at the moment, but I don't think this Night Goblin, yeah, I think Archaon's got it, honestly. Take a look at the periphery here, you can see the Hounds. Again, we're kind of going for a tandem here where the Hounds, they kind of get a charge and, you know, get some poison in on the Trolls and on the Spider Riders here. Then we come in with the tandem of the Manticores to provide the terror and then just chase things off very quickly. Against low leadership factions, I found this works exceptionally well. We're able to terrify away those Trolls there. Some Spider Riders. Still, though, bounce power pretty close. War Boss does get away here, even though he is proper shattered there. We've got Chaos Marauders punching through the back line, trying to get on those Orc Air Boys. Looks like actually the Orc Air Boys say, yeah, let's go. Let's do it, boys. Get them, lads. Black Orcs going to crump them from both sides, so all of a sudden those Marauders are having the worst day of their lives. Over here, we're able to break off a few units. Not the most cost-efficient in the world, but a beautiful zap there. Does a ton of damage to that Manticore. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, can we get the Giant on isolation? Let's bring in all 3 single entities. Archaon and the 2 Manticores all going to team up. Black Orcs come in to try and support, but we've also got the few Marauder Horsemen that do remain, throwing their javelins at this Giant here. So it's taking a lot of damage. Archaon pops his defensive buffs as well. Standard die, Cascading Fire Cloak on himself as well. So he didn't take too much damage there. The Manticores are taking a beating, but considering the 2 Manticores together are just slightly more expensive than the Giant, that's actually pretty good. Sneaky stabbing on the Giant, putting him up to 713 total weapon strength. Absolutely bananas. Meanwhile, the pack of Hounds in the back line chewing on the Rusty Arrows here, just kind of methodically picking away any isolated light units especially. Yeah, Chaos Knights very beat up at this point, so I need to be careful how I use them. But the Giant goes down to the Manticore there. Chaos Knight's going to charge in here, do some good damage to those Black Orcs, but Probably going to leave them in for too long at this point. Yeah, of course, as soon as I mention how carefully I need to use them, I promptly get them mostly killed. So that's good. This Manticore also gets routed off by the Black Orcs there. Going to get a bit of a burning head, but it's not overcast, so it won't do that much damage. Yeah, it does hardly any damage, actually, to those Black Orcs. But that's okay. Got to get those Hounds scattered out to the periphery to chase these routing Gobos and just kind of start to break my opponent's army apart here, Slate X. Try and just use my mobility advantage here to kind of run around, and the Hounds honestly have been a huge carry here. Having this critical mass of 4 Hounds and like using them, you definitely have to use them very carefully, obviously, because they're very squishy, but especially against lower defense factions like, say, Greenskins or Skaven, a mass of Hounds can pick off isolated low-tier units very quickly. Of course, the poison helps, and being able to chase those units off, also very, very nice. I'm a huge fan of Chaos Hounds, to be honest, and Hound units in general. 2 Manticores come in to rear charge these Air Boys here. He's still got the Mangy Marauders pouring in some fire, so they might actually be able to break the leadership of those Manticores, but the Night Goblin Shaman gets broken here. ARCHAON'S going to have to do a lot of work against Black Orcs, though. There's still a lot of Black Orcs still here fighting. I said still here twice. Anyway, ARCHAON with this massive armor-piercing damage will be able to beat up these Black Orcs, but, I mean, if they make contact on him, he's got quite a bit more defense than they do attack, right? Let's see, they've got, what, 39 attack right now? ARCHAON'S at 60 defense, so he'll shrug off most of the hits there, but if they do make contact, particularly if models are in the rear arc, where they won't be subject to his melee defense, they can get some pretty solid hits. Black Orcs have a lot of weapon strength, so the Hound pack definitely getting a little more whittled down at this point, as we're having to go after some heavier units. The Black Orcs saturating in here. Obviously, the Hounds will just kind of wash up against them. This tactic definitely doesn't work against heavier armor factions, certainly. But against a lighter armor faction, like Greenskins, Beastmen, I could also see this working pretty well against this kind of massive Hounds. They're all running for the hills now, but, I mean, yeah, 99 kills there, 78, 32, and a Chevron? They might have had that Chevron before. I can't recall. But we'll keep it close on ARCHAON, smashing these Black Orcs here. Ooh, nice decapitation. Slugging with the boys. This is a brawl I believe that ARCHAON would probably enjoy. Yeah, let's be honest, he probably doesn't enjoy anything, but definitely a few heavy hitters beating up on each other. Manticore coming in as well. Looks like we got some Fanatics coming through. Absolutely wild. Actually breaks off the Marauder Horsemen and the Poison Warhounds there, so I have to be a little careful with ARCHAON. I don't just want to stand on top of those Black Orcs with no support. Definitely want to try and cycle charge as much as I can, although the balance power is pretty far in my favor. You guys saw my video the other day, hopefully, of me pulling back a Greenskins game. The boys are never out, to be honest. And yeah, especially while these Black Orcs are still alive. Standard Eye on ARCHAON to keep his melee defense up. I'm going to be layering that plus cascading Fire Cloak as much as I can, just to keep his melee defense up and taking the least amount of hits as I can. I mean, mathematically, I'm pretty close to minimum hit chance already, right? Because of the differential there, but just to be very certain. Hounds here cleaning up some Black Orcs, now moving on to the Arrow Boys. Got some Marauders back as well. The extra leadership definitely helps in this situation. In a late game scrap like this, better combat stats as well. They have just straight up better attack and defense than Black Orcs, right? 43, I guess not quite. Yeah, a little bit better actually on both, so they can actually come in here, and although they don't do good armor-piercing damage, just in terms of combat stats, they'll match up well against the Black Orcs, and in the late game, that can matter a lot more. ARCHAON getting some nice plowing charges through, doing his best, I don't know, Mountain Blade impression. Very, very fun battle, and this build ended up working out pretty well. I was kind of curious to see if it would or would not work, but the Mass Hounds is something that I think needs to bear a little more testing, but it seems promising, especially when I've been playing campaigns either as Chaos or Vampire counts, like just having a massive, just horde of like 5 to 6 Hounds. You can do a lot of damage very quickly because of their high model count, and the fact they're very light mass means they can kind of almost like clip through units. Not exactly, but they just get really good surrounds, like their pathing and surround and everything is really good. Obviously very squishy, low leadership, but it can do quite well. Did excellently here. The Chaos Knights were a little bit of a trap as well, although they definitely held up their end of the bargain. Didn't get the most kills, but 52 on Archaon himself. The Manticore is also contributing pretty well. On Slade's side here, Black Orcs racking up a lot of kills, 185 and 90 there, 145 for the AP Coloons. They matched up very well against my veteran Marauders. Yeah, the Night Goblin War Boss, I definitely like this pick. Unfortunately, he got crumped pretty hard by Archaon there, just got a little bit separated from his Giant. And the Trolls, I know Slade X is a big fan of Trolls. I personally... I think they're kind of meme value. They're definitely fun units, don't get me wrong, but just their low leadership, lack of immune to psychology, means you can cheese them with terror super easily. And that's more or less what I was able to do here, so ended up working out okay. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.